Imagine walking into a bank to withdraw money for school. You've done nothing wrong. Every dollar in your account is legally yours. Yet suddenly, the manager freezes your account in front of everyone. Why? Because of the color of your skin. Because he assumes you couldn't possibly have that kind of money. But what happens when the very person he tries to humiliate turns out to control more money than the entire branch combined? This is a story of how a black teenager's dignity was challenged inside a bank, and how a billion-dollar legacy silenced her doubters forever. Her name was Aaliyah Carter, 19 years old, a college freshman. She was quiet, humble, and focused on her studies. She dreamed of becoming a biomedical engineer. She wasn't flashy. No designer brands, no expensive jewelry, no luxury car. Just a hoodie, a pair of jeans, and a backpack full of textbooks. But what no one saw from the outside was a legacy she carried within her family. Her grandfather, Samuel Carter, had lived a life of perseverance. He had grown up facing segregation, poverty, and systemic discrimination. But instead of being broken by the world, he built something incredible. Over decades, Samuel invested in real estate, in land, and in small businesses that others ignored. He bought when others doubted. He held when others sold. And slowly, his empire grew. By the time Samuel Carter passed away, his portfolio stretched across multiple states. Commercial properties, farmland, rental homes, and business ventures worth billions of dollars. But Samuel never bragged. He never flaunted his wealth. And in his will, he quietly left behind a gift to each of his grandchildren, trust funds worth millions. And that is where Aaliyah's story begins. It was a warm Friday afternoon when Aaliyah walked into her local bank branch. She wasn't there to do anything extraordinary. She simply wanted to withdraw $4,000 to cover her books and housing for the semester. Her account had recently received a wire transfer, a partial distribution from her inheritance. But the moment she handed her ID and debit card to the teller, something shifted. The teller froze, staring at the screen. Then he called for the branch manager. The manager, a middle-aged man in a sharp suit, walked over with a polished smile. He glanced at Aaliyah, then back at the account balance. His brows furrowed. The smile faded. "Miss, where exactly did this money come from?" he asked. His tone wasn't professional. It wasn't kind. It was sharp, accusatory. Aaliyah explained calmly. It was her inheritance. Money passed down legally from her grandfather. But the manager smirked, unconvinced. "We'll have to freeze this account immediately," he said. Funds of this size don't just appear out of nowhere. All around the lobby, customers began to glance over. Aaliyah felt her cheeks burning. She had done nothing wrong. She wasn't lying. Yet, she was being treated like a fraud. Her card was taken. Her account was locked. And her dignity was hanging by a thread. For hours, Aaliyah sat in that bank lobby, ignored. Each time she asked for an update, the staff brushed her off. She texted her mother in tears, not knowing what to do. But what the bank manager didn't know was that the Carter family was not powerless. They had lawyers on retainer, lawyers who specialized in managing billion-dollar estates. And within 45 minutes, a black SUV pulled up outside the bank. Out stepped two attorneys in dark suits, carrying thick leather portfolios. Their presence was commanding, their voices sharp as they demanded to see their client. "Where is Miss Carter? We represent her family estate. Who authorized freezing her account?" The manager stammered. His confidence wavered. We were just following protocol." But this wasn't protocol. This was profiling. Plain and simple. The attorneys placed their portfolios on the desk and opened them. Inside were notarized documents, trust statements, and most importantly, proof that Aaliyah was a legal heir to over $1.2 billion in assets. The lobby went silent. The very account the manager had frozen contained only a fraction of her inheritance. Barely the tip of the iceberg. The attorneys leaned in. "If this bank cannot properly handle our client's funds, we will be transferring her entire portfolio to another institution. Immediately." That portfolio included stocks, bonds, commercial real estate, farmland, and investments worth more than the branch had ever managed. The customers whispered in disbelief. The girl in the hoodie, the one who had been humiliated just an hour earlier. She wasn't broke. She wasn't lying. She was richer than the entire staff combined. The manager's face turned pale. His arrogance collapsed into desperation. He rushed to apologize. He offered excuses. But it was too late. Within days, Alia's family moved every dollar out of that bank. The competing bank welcomed them with open arms. The branch that had once marked her lost not just a client, but $1 billion fortune. And the story spread. In barbershops, at Sunday services, across the community. People told it like a legend. A young black woman underestimated, only to reveal unimaginable power. The bank manager, quietly reassigned to a smaller branch, far from the city center. Corporate headquarters launched an internal investigation into discrimination. Several employees were disciplined, all because one man decided to judge by appearances. But Alia never let the story change her. She returned to her college campus, still in her hoodie, still carrying her backpack full of books. She remained the same young woman she had always been. The only difference was that now, the world around her knew the truth. Her story carried a lesson. Never judge by appearances. Never assume someone doesn't belong. Because behind the quietest smile might lie generations of sacrifice, perseverance, and legacy. And for anyone who still believes that wealth, intelligence, or power doesn't belong to someone who looks a certain way, Alia's story is a reminder they never saw coming. Sometimes, the people you doubt the most hold the greatest fortunes.